The alien ship drifted in the cold darkness, its hull scarred, its engines dead. Faint blue sparks flickered across the torn metal plates, a sign of some terrible battle. No stars reflected from its surface. It was coated with a strange black residue, as if space itself had tried to erase it. Inside, only one console still had power. It sent a short, broken transmission in a trembling voice. "Don't come here." Then the voice cut off, and the ship was silent forever, hundreds of light years away. The message reached an alien patrol vessel on the edge of their empire. The patrol crew sat in stunned silence, listening to the static that followed. Captain Sarek, a veteran of countless border runs, stared at the display. The wreck had been found near human space. That was enough to make the room colder. Human. Space was not a place anyone visited. The galaxy had maps, old ones, with a thick black line drawn around a cluster of star systems. There were no trade routes, no colonies, no diplomatic outposts. The only note written on those maps was a single word in all languages: forbidden. But Sarek's orders were clear. They were to investigate the wreck and confirm what happened. His second officer, Lyra, hesitated as she checked the coordinates. "Sir, this takes us within 3 jumps of their border." Sarek didn't look at her. The High Command gave the order. We follow it. The crew didn't argue, but unease hung heavy in the air. Everyone had heard the stories. Ships that crossed into human space did not return. No one knew why. Some said humans had vanished centuries ago, leaving behind automated defenses that still hunted intruders. Others whispered darker tales, that humans were still there, watching from the shadows. And they did not forgive trespass. As the patrol ship made its way toward the coordinates, strange signals began to leak into their systems. They were not random noise, they were patterns. Rhythmic pulses, repeating sequences, but in no known language. Every few minutes, the signals grew clearer, as if something was drawing them in. On the 3rd day, they found the wreck. The alien ship hung in the void, motionless, surrounded by drifting debris. The hull had been ripped apart, not by weapons. They recognized, but by something cleaner, like a blade had sliced through it. There were no burn marks from energy blasts, no signs of explosive decompression. It was as if the ship's structure had simply stopped holding together. Patrol crew scanned the interior. No bodies, no weapons. Even the black box, the indestructible data core, was gone. "This isn't a normal attack." Lyra whispered. Sir ordered a closer approach. As they moved in, the patrol's sensors started to fail. First, the long-range scanner went dark. Then the short-range display flickered and showed strange shapes in the void. At first, the crew thought it was debris, till one of the shapes moved against the drift. Contact. The sensor officer shouted, "One vessel. Out." "It's gone." The blip vanished from the screen, but the crew still felt it, a presence just outside. Watching them, Sarek's jaw tightened. "Record everything. We're going in closer." The patrol ship edged forward. Their floodlights swept over the wreck's open hull. Something inside reflected light, a piece of metal, curved and polished. But when the lights hit it fully, the reflection shifted, like it was turning to face them. Then their system crackled. It wasn't static. A voice spoke in perfect translation, using their own language. "You've gone too far." Froze. No one had transmitted. No one had connected the to any external signal. The voice came from nowhere and everywhere at once. "Identify yourself," Sarek demanded, forcing his voice steady. No reply. Instead, the ship's navigation system lit up with new coordinates. They were deeper inside human space. Lyra's hands shook. "Sir, someone just bypassed our security and uploaded these directly to our core systems." Before Sarek could order a shutdown, the ship's engines roared to life on their own. The stars outside began to shift as they were pulled forward, not by their own commands, but by something else. "Kill the drive," Sarek shouted. "The engineers." Voice came through the intercom, panicked. "I've shut it down, but it's not stopping. The engines aren't running, but we're still moving." The crew stared at the view screen. The stars ahead shimmered, bending unnaturally. Then a shape emerged from the darkness, massive, silent, and featureless. No lights, no visible weapons. Just a black outline against deeper black. The voice returned. It's quieter this time, almost like a whisper. You are inside now, for a moment no one breathed. Then, the patrol ship's lights dimmed one by one, until the interior was lit only by the glow of the main console. Every crew member felt the same thing. They were not alone. Something was in the ship with them. The sound came next. Not footsteps, not machinery, just a faint scrape, like metal brushing metal, coming from the engine room. The engineer didn't respond to Sarek's calls. The scrape grew louder, and then silence. Sarek turned to Lyra. Lockdown engineering now. But before she could move, the console in front of her flickered and displayed a single sentence, written in perfect letters of their language. No one leaves. The scrape had stopped, but the silence that followed was worse. Every crew member sat frozen, listening, afraid to speak. The console lights glowed faintly, casting long shadows across the bridge. Captain Sarek forced himself to stand. Security team with me. We're going to engineering. No one wanted to move, but orders were orders. 3 armed officers followed him through the narrow corridor, their boots making the only sound. The ship's gravity felt heavier than usual, as if the air itself was pressing down. When they reached the engine room door, the access panel was dark. No power. Sarek ordered manual override. The door slid open slowly, its metal edges grinding, like they hadn't moved in years. The room inside was empty. The main engine core stood silent, cold, its faint blue glow gone. Tools lay scattered on the floor, and one spanner floated lazily, turning in the air. The engineer's toolkit was there, but not the engineer. Sarek moved cautiously, scanning the shadows. Report, called, his voice echoing against the walls. No answer. Then something shifted in the darkness. At first he thought it was a trick of the light, but then it moved again, quick and unnatural. A thin black shape detached itself from the shadows, standing unnaturally still. One of the security officers raised his weapon. Identify yourself. The shape tilted its head, almost curious, then stepped forward. It wasn't a person. It wasn't even fully solid. Parts of it seemed to flicker, as if reality had trouble holding it together. The voice came again, now from the shape itself. You are trespassing. Sarek kept his weapon trained on it. What are you? Ignored the question and turned its head toward the core. The engine lights flickered back on, not in their usual soft blue, but in a deep, blood-red glow. This vessel is claimed, the voice said. Then the shape vanished, dissolving into the air like smoke. A scream echoed from somewhere deeper in the ship. Everidge, Sarek, and his team ran back, weapons ready. When they reached the bridge, the rest of the crew were standing, pale, pointing at the main view screen. The wreck they had found earlier was gone. In its place floated a massive black structure, so huge it blocked out half the stars. No visible engines, no markings, nothing to suggest its purpose. But the crew didn't need to be told what it was. It was waiting for them. The cum crackled. Your choices are simple, the voice said. Submit to questioning or be removed. Lyra stepped forward, anger breaking through her fear. Came here to investigate. We haven't done anything. The voice didn't change. You crossed the line. That is enough. Sarek's instincts screamed at him to escape, but every attempt to power the engines failed. The ship's systems now showed they were deep inside human space, far deeper than they had been moments ago. How is this possible? One officer whispered. We didn't move this far. They moved space around us, another muttered. Eyes wide, the black structure began to change. Parts of it unfolded like petals, revealing a dark interior. Without engines, without thrust, our ship began drifting toward it. Sarek gave the order to fire thrusters, even if it was useless. The ship trembled with effort, but the pull only grew stronger. As the structure loomed closer, the crew could see that it wasn't built like a station. Its surface shifted, changed, as if alive. Lyra whispered, "It's not a station. Oh, it's a trap." The voice spoke one last time before they crossed into the opening. "Welcome to human space. You will not return." The darkness swallowed their ship whole. The darkness inside the massive structure was absolute. No starlight, no navigation readings, no sense of direction. The alien crew's displays flickered between static and strange symbols none of them recognized. The air felt heavier here, pressing against their skin, making each breath harder. Serac stood at the center of the bridge, eyes scanning every panel. "Status report. Nothing works, sir," Lyra said. "Our sensors. They're showing movement all around us, but there's nothing outside the ship. It's like we're inside a cloud that's alive." Before anyone could respond, the cum crackled again. But this time, it wasn't the same cold voice. It was whispering. Dozens of voices overlapping, speaking in different tones and languages. Some were alien tongues the crew recognized. Others were sharp, guttural sounds that hurt to hear. One of the voices sounded exactly like their missing engineer. "Turn it off," Sarek barked. The comm officer's claws danced over the controls. "Sir, it's not coming from the comm system. It's coming from inside the ship." The lights dimmed again. A slow, rhythmic thud echoed from somewhere below deck, like something heavy was walking along the hull. The crew froze. The thudding moved closer, up the length of the ship, until it reached the bridge. Then it stopped. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the temperature dropped. Frost began forming along the edges of the control panels. The whispering voices grew clearer. And now, some of them were speaking in perfect translation. They came here. They thought they were safe. They never left. Lyra clutched her console, her voice shaking. "Captain, I think. These are the crews from the other ships." Serac didn't answer. He was staring at the forward view screen. Something was moving in the darkness. At first, it was just a shimmer, like heat distortion. Then it took form a massive shape, sleek and predatory, circling them without sound. Its movements were unnatural, sharp turns and impossible angles, like it didn't care about inertia. "It's not a ship," one officer whispered. Alive, the creature, or machine, no one could tell which, stopped moving and faced them directly. Two faint points of light glowed where its eyes should be. Suddenly, the patrol ship jolted violently, as if something had struck it. Warning. Lights flashed red. The crew scrambled to check the damage, but there was none. The hull was intact. Then came the realization. The thing hadn't hit them. It latched on. The sound started again, metal on metal, this time scraping across the outer hull. Moving toward the airlock, Sarah grabbed the nearest weapon and ordered the security team to the airlock. The corridor lights flickered as they moved, the walls groaning like the ship itself was afraid. When they reached the airlock, the inner door was still sealed, but the outer hatch showed something pressed against it, black, featureless, and shifting. It wasn't trying to break in, it was listening. One of the guards raised his rifle. "We can blast it off." The hatch suddenly rang with a loud, single knock. The black surface shifted, forming something like a mouth. It spoke in Sarek's own voice. "Let me in." Every crew member froze. No one moved. Then, without warning, the airlock's controls activated themselves. The outer door began to open. Sarek roared. "Override it. Now." The door stopped halfway, but that was enough. The black shape began to flow inside, like liquid shadow reshaping itself as it moved. The guards fired. The rounds passed straight through it, hitting nothing. The shadow moved faster, surging forward, slamming one guard against the wall with bone-snapping force. The lights flared bright white for an instant, and when the crew's vision cleared, the thing was gone. But so was the guard. The airlock was empty. Then the whispering returned. Now, only one voice. The missing guard's voice. "It's hunting. Us." The patrol ship floated in the endless dark, deep inside the alien structure. No one spoke for a long time after the shadow took the guard. Every sound felt dangerous now. Even the hum of the ship's power core seemed too loud. Serac stood at the center of the bridge, jaw-tight eyes fixed on the flickering view screen. "We're not waiting for it to come back," he said at last. "We're finding a way out." Lyra shook her head slowly. "Sir, I think we're already too far in. Look." She brought up a navigation map. It showed their location, or what should have been their location. Their ship wasn't in the same star cluster anymore. The chart displayed a vast black void. No stars, no systems, no escape routes. It was like they had been moved into a pocket of space that shouldn't exist. "This isn't possible," the cum officer muttered. "Space doesn't bend like this." Before anyone could reply, the ship's lights dimmed again. This time they didn't come back. Every console went dark. The only light was a faint red glow from the center of the bridge, not from any ship system, but from a small sphere of light that had simply appeared. It hovered in the air, silent, then began to speak. "You are not the first," the voice said. The crew froze. The voice was not cold or mocking like before. It was calm, even patient. "I am Sentinel-3, it continued. "I guard the borders of human space. You have crossed without permission." Serac took a step forward. "Are you human?" "No." The answer came instantly. "I was made by humans to ensure that no one enters or leaves without their consent." The sphere pulsed faintly, and suddenly the darkness around the ship lit up, not with stars but with shapes. Hundreds of them, alien ships. Some were small scout craft, others were massive warships, all floated silently, perfectly preserved, but lifeless. No lights, no movement. "These," Sentinel-3 said, "are the others who crossed the line. Of them left." Crew stared in silence. "You are here for questioning," the AI continued. "Your species has tested the border several times. We have observed, we have recorded. You will explain your purpose." Lyra's voice trembled. "And if we refuse?" The sphere's light dimmed. "Then you will remain here forever." The ship shuddered as invisible forces began pulling it forward. The view screen showed a massive opening in the structure ahead, glowing faintly with blue light. As they passed through, the crew gasped. Inside was a vast chamber, easily large enough to hold 100 ships. And it did. Alien vessels of every shape and design hung in the air, frozen like insects in amber. Some looked ancient, their hulls covered in dust and ice. Others were so new they still bore fresh paint, and between them, human ships. Not many. Maybe 4 or 5. They were unlike anything the crew had ever seen. Sleek, angular, their surfaces black as the void. Even at rest, they seemed predatory. One of them was larger than the rest, and as the patrol ship passed beneath it, the crew could feel it, a pressure in their minds, a weight behind their eyes. "That is why you cannot leave Sentinel-3, said as if reading their thoughts. "Humans do not take trespass lightly." Serac tried to steady his voice. "Humans disappeared from the galaxy centuries ago. No one has seen them in generations. So where are they now?" The sphere hovered closer, its red glow intensifying. "They are watching," it said simply. Then the sphere pulsed once, and the patrol ship began moving again, deeper into the chamber, toward a smaller opening in the far wall. "What's in there?" Serac demanded. The AI answered without hesitation. "Your trial." The opening swallowed the patrol ship whole. Inside, there was no vast chamber, no floating graveyard, just darkness and silence. The walls of the tunnel seemed to press closer as they moved, like the structure was alive and breathing around. Then, without warning, the darkness ended. They emerged into a hollow sphere, colossal chamber with no floor, no ceiling, only curved walls covered in shimmering panels. Each panel displayed a frozen image, alien faces, crews of all. Shapes and sizes caught mid-expression. Some looked angry, others terrified. A few were simply blank, like all emotion had been drained away. Lyra's breath caught. "Are those alive?" Sentinel-3's voice answered calmly. "Records. Every ship that entered this place left. Behind its story, you will do the same. Before anyone could react, the ship stopped moving. Gravity shifted. The crew stumbled as the floor beneath their feet rippled like liquid, then hardened again into a smooth surface. Panels on the walls flickered, and suddenly the faces moved. They began speaking, their voices overlapping into a deafening roar. "We didn't know, please. Send us back. It's not real. None of it's real. They're still here." Sarek gritted his teeth, forcing his voice over the noise. "What do you want from us?" The roar stopped instantly. Every face on the walls turned to look at him. Sentinel-3 appeared as a red sphere in the center of the chamber. "The truth," it said. "Why did you cross into human space?" Hesitated. He could tell the truth that they were following orders from High Command to investigate a wreck. Or he could lie, claim they had drifted in by accident. But something in the stillness told him that lying would not go well. "We came to investigate a derelict ship," he said slowly. "We received a transmission, a warning." The AI's glow brightened slightly. "You ignored it." "My duty to follow orders?" Sarek replied. The sphere pulsed, and suddenly the walls around them changed. The patrol crew found themselves staring at a scene in perfect clarity, a star field, human ship, and an alien vessel nearly identical. To theirs, the alien ship opened fire. In seconds, the human vessel returned fire with a single beam of white light. The alien ship was cut in half, its halves drifting apart silently. "This was the first time your people tested the border," Sentinel-3 said. "It was 200 years ago. No survivors." The image changed. Another alien fleet approached. The border. They never even saw a human ship, only flashes of light, then silence. "And this was the second," the AI said. 120 years ago. No survivors." Sarek's crew shifted uncomfortably. No one spoke. Finally, the AI's voice softened. "You are the third," Lyra stepped forward. "If we give you what you want, will you let us go?"
What?
Sphere rotated slowly, like it was considering her question. "Apps. But you will carry a message for us." The walls flickered again, showing a single sentence written in glowing letters. "Stay out of human space, or you will not return." Before Sarah could respond, the chamber trembled. The lights on the walls dimmed, and a new sound filled. The air, a deep metallic pounding, far away, but growing closer. Sentinel-3's glow darkened. "You are not alone here." Crew stared at one another. "Another intruder?" Zarak asked. The AI did not answer. Instead, it said something far worse. "It is not human, but humans built it." The pounding grew louder. Each impact echoed through the chamber like the heartbeat of something massive, alive. And getting closer, the patrol crew gripped their weapons, though every one of them knew it wouldn't matter. If the humans really built whatever was coming, then their technology would make alien guns feel like toys. Sentinel-3 floated toward the far wall. Panels there slid apart silently, revealing a wide, circular doorway. Beyond it was only a glowing, white mist. "Step through," the AI said. Sarek frowned. "What's on the other side?" The sphere's glow dimmed slightly. "Those who decide." No one moved at first. Then, without waiting for permission, Lyra stepped forward. Standing. "Here won't change anything. Let's go." The rest of the crew followed, tension thick enough to taste. The moment they crossed the threshold, the world shifted. The mist dissolved into a perfect, featureless plain. An endless white floor stretching to the horizon under a soft, pale sky. There was no sun, no shadows, just space and silence. And then they appeared. 5 figures walking toward them in a slow, deliberate line. At first glance, they could have been human. The same upright stance, the same symmetrical features. But as they drew closer, the differences became clear. Their eyes were too sharp, their movements too precise, their faces too unreadable. Their clothing was simple but flawless, dark. Gray uniforms without rank insignia, decorated only with a small emblem over the heart, a silver star. Encircled by a black ring, the one in the center stopped 3 paces away from Sarek. "You have entered," human space without permission. The voice was calm, even polite. State your reason. Sarek kept his voice steady. We were ordered to investigate a derelict. We did not know it would bring us here. The figure studied him in silence for several seconds, then glanced at the others. None of them spoke. Finally, the leader said, "We know your orders. We know your fleet's location. We know the message you received." Lyra's jaw tightened. "Then you know we weren't trying to start a war." "Wars are started by smaller things than this," the leader replied. "But your species has crossed the border 3 times? We do not allow a fourth." The pounding from before was still faintly audible, somewhere far beyond the horizon. Sarek glanced toward the sound. "And what is that?" The leader didn't. "Look, a safeguard. It awakens only when necessary. Would not survive it." Another human, or whatever they were, stepped forward, holding a small black device no larger than a stone. "We will return you to your space, but you will take our warning." Sarek nodded slowly. "And if we refuse?" The leader's voice softened, but the weight behind it doubled. "Then you will stay here, and in 1,000 years, someone will look upon your frozen face on the walls of the trial chamber, and they will not remember your name." The white plane began to darken, edges fading into shadow. The pounding stopped. The leader stepped closer, meeting Sarek's eyes. "We will allow you to live because you are not yet dangerous. But tell your high command this." The air vibrated as the leader spoke the words, each one sharp as a blade. "We are not gone. We are not hiding. We are simply waiting." And with that, the plane shattered like glass. The crew was back on their ship, drifting silently in open space, stars spread out in every direction. There was no sign of the structure, no sign of Sentinel-3, no sign of the humans. Only one thing remained, the small black device, sitting on the captain's chair, glowing faintly. It pulsed once, and a voice, "We'll be watching." The stars outside the viewport looked almost normal now, but no one on the bridge relaxed. It had taken less than a heartbeat. One moment they were standing in that impossible white plane, the next they were back in their ship, systems online, as if nothing had happened. Sarek stared at the small black device on his chair. It wasn't attached to anything, yet every scanner in the ship showed it was active, powerful. Lyra broke the silence first. "Coordinates are in the nav system. You've been placed right on the edge of our territory." No one asked how. Sarek gave a short nod. "Take us home." The engines engaged smoothly, but the tension didn't lift. Wrong. Like the stars themselves were watching. Hours later, their home station came into view, a massive orbital platform ringed with docks, shipyards, and defense turrets. Relief began to creep into the crew's faces, but that relief died the moment a squadron of warships moved to intercept them. "Unknown vessel. Power down and prepare for boarding," came the voiceover comes. "This is high command security. Comply immediately." Sarek tapped the com panel. "This is patrol ship Nuria 4, returning from We know who you are." The voice cut him off. "And we know where you've been. Shut down your engines." Lyra turned to him, eyes wide. "Sir, how could they possibly know already?" Sarek's gaze shifted to the black device. It pulsed once, faintly. "I think they were told. The boarding party didn't waste time." Armed soldiers swept onto the bridge, ordering the crew to stand down. A tall officer in black stepped forward, eyes cold and sharp. "You crossed into the forbidden sector," he said flatly. "Protocol demands quarantine and interrogation." Sarek didn't move. "We didn't choose to cross the border. And if you think locking us up will make this problem go away, you don't understand who you're dealing with." The officer's expression didn't change. "Then explain it." Sarek glanced at the crew, then back at the officer. "We met them. The humans." That got a reaction. The officer's eyes narrowed, his voice lowering. "You're certain? They put us on trial. They gave us a message." Sarek looked at the black device, and they sent this. The officer approached the chair slowly. "Do you know what it is?" "No," Sarek admitted. "But I think you do." The officer didn't answer. He reached out, and the moment his fingers touched the device, it pulsed again. A voice filled the bridge. The same calm, cold human voice they'd heard before. To those who command, your borders are fragile. Strengthen them. We will not warn you again. The officer froze. The crew stared. Then, without another word, the device went dark. The officer turned to Serac, his voice low but urgent. You're coming with me, all of you. Where? Lyra asked. The officer's expression was grim. Someplace deep. Somewhere we can talk about this, without the whole galaxy hearing. As they were led off the ship, Serac glanced back at the stars one last time, and for a moment, just a moment, could have sworn one of them blinked. The chamber they were taken to was deep underground, so deep that no com signal could reach it. Cold lights glowed above a metal table where Serac and his crew sat. Watched by 2 armed guards and the black uniformed officer, on the table sat the device. Still dark, still silent, high command officials filed in one by one, their faces a mix of suspicion, curiosity, and something else Serac didn't often see in them, fear. A woman in crimson robes, clearly the ranking official, spoke first. You claim you encountered humans? Serac met her gaze. Not just encountered. We stood in front of them, spoke to them. They know us, all of us. One of the officials snorted. We have no proof. For all we know, this is a fabrication. To hide a mission failure, the black uniformed officer placed a hand on the device. You'll want to be careful what you call a fabrication. Pressed a small indentation on its surface. The device lit up instantly, not with a pulse, not with a hum. The voice. Attention. Rulers of the Outer Coalition, we will speak once. The room went still. Even the guards stopped breathing. You have tested our borders 3 times. You have not learned. Your fleets are powerful, but your leaders are careless. Your maps are wrong. The space you claim is not yours. The lights in the chamber flickered. Temperature dropped. We do not wish for war. If you come again, you will not return. We will erase you from memory as we erase the others. You will have no graves, no history, no name. One of the officials tried to speak, but the voice cut him off like a blade. Your enemies think we are myth. Keep it that way. Tell no one. And remember, the voice shifted, colder, slower. We are not gone. We are not hiding. We are simply waiting. The light in the device went out. No one spoke for several seconds. Then the crimson-robed woman turned to Serac. This conversation is classified at the highest level. You and your crew are under permanent security oath. You will not speak of this to anyone outside these walls. Lyra leaned forward. And if we refuse? The woman's expression didn't change. Then you will disappear. And not because of us. The implication was clear. They were dismissed and escorted 2 quarters deep inside the facility. Not free, but not prisoners either. At least not yet. Later, alone in his assigned room, Serac stared out at the empty night beyond the reinforced glass. Somewhere out there, past the silent stars, humans were waiting, watching, deciding, and for the first time in his life, he understood. The worst part wasn't their weapons, it was that they could choose not to use them, because that meant they were saving them for something bigger, something inevitable. And when it came, no warning would follow.